gas welding process. A gas welding process, we are going to use oxygen and acetylene cylinders. Okay, gas welding process, we are going to use the oxygen and the acetylene cylinders. So normally here the black cylinder which I have shown, which will be oxygen, and red cylinder will be the gas, acetylene gas, and those will be fixed with the regulators. And once the regulators are there, we can able to visualize the supply of the oxygen and acetylene through this pipe to this nozzle tip. At the same time, we can regulate them. So these are called the pressure regulators. So we can able to maintain a proper pressure, because for the various application we need to supply the oxygen more and acetylene lesser. In some cases, oxygen and acetylene should be same, and in some other cases, the acetylene will be more and oxygen will be less. That we can discuss them later. And how the working principle, we'll see them. This is called the welding torch, and this is called the welding tip. Okay, and these two knobs are provided. These two knobs will be meant for to regulate the supply of oxygen and the acetylene to this torch. Regulate the, and once after the work is completed, and we can just switch off, or we can off the valves by using these regulators at the cylinder itself. And here the amount of oxygen flowing to the tip and amount of the acetylene flowing to the tip will be operated by means of this needle valve. Okay, needle valve. Now how this work will be done, just I'll be showing you. Here, once the supply is on, once you struck the torch, that means we are going to fire it. And what happens, once it is fired, what happens, continuously start to burn. Continuously start to burn, and the flame which is generated will be having the shape. And once you get near to the workpiece, what happens, the outer layer of the metal at this particular zone will melt down, and welding takes place. Since we have slight gap between them, even a filler material also can be used in some other cases, and sometimes. This is how the welding. And most possibly in some other various applications, the oxygen and acetylene will be used, the oxygen and hydrogen will be used, oxygen and LPG will be used. Okay, and in maximum industrial applications, wherein a very good joint we can able to get them commonly by using the oxygen and acetylene. Oxygen and acetylene can be enough to go for the welding, so that it is called oxyacetylene welding. Okay, and this is how the sketch, if you want you can write the sketches. Regulator, the regulation of the oxygen, the regulator of the acetylene, and this is the flexible hose pipe. This pipe will be very longer. We can keep somewhere by keeping around 4 to 5 meters or even 20 meters away. The worker can work by holding this particular torch, welding torch it is called. And this is called welding tip. Welding tip. At this particular zone, the flame will be operated. This flame can be controlled. The flow of oxygen and acetylene can be controlled by means of these control valves. Once after completion of this, the pressure regulators, here a regulator will be there that will be switched off, so that there will not be any flow of oxygen or acetylene. Okay. Now let me try to understand the different flames what we get from this welding. So as I told you just now, the oxygen and acetylene are the two sources which we are going to use them to develop this flame at the end of this, the torch tip. Basically we have three types of flames. We get neutral flame, oxidizing flame, and carburizing or reducing flame. There are three types of flames. The neutral flame, neutral, oxidizing, carburizing. Neutral flame we get by mixing equal proportion of oxygen and acetylene. By using equal proportion of oxygen and acetylene, we get this neutral flame. This neutral flame can be, how we can visualize, the worker can able to visualize by looking at the inner white cone, a feather-like structure. Okay, inner white cone will be there, that will be covered with outer blue flame. That will be indication of a neutral flame, and that will be totally based on the worker's workmanship also sometimes. Okay, accurately he want to keep, he can keep also. Okay, and where all we can use this application, this particular neutral flame structure will be used for the welding applications, oxyacetylene welding applications. Okay, oxyacetylene welding applications will be using this neutral flame. And oxidizing flame, in the oxidizing flame, the name itself is indicating oxidized. That means the maximum oxygen, the proportion will be 1.15 to 1.5%, 1.5 times than the acetylene. Okay, 1 is to 1.5. That means 1 proportion of acetylene, 1.5 proportion of the oxygen will be forming the oxidizing flame. The oxidizing flame will be having inner pointed cone. You can see that a white cone which will be having a pointed cone, and it will be covered, or it will be having an envelope of a blue flame on the outer. Okay, this will be indicating it is oxidizing flame, and this oxidizing flame will be useful for the very specifically cutting operations. Even metal pieces having around even 100 mm thickness also can be cut down by using the oxidizing flame. By using the oxidizing flame, we can cut down even 100 mm thickness mild steel plate also. Okay, and carbazine flame is one which we can get by supplying excess amount of acetylene. When you supply excess amount of acetylene, that will become a carbazine flame. Okay,